Hey everybody, this is the Fairy Vibrant Makeup channel. I did refresh my hair, so this is my current hair color as of yet. I kind of want to change it up a bit, but I like the hot pink, so let me know what you think about my hot pink hair. I know I work in the beauty industry, so this video is going to be a breakdown of my favorite palettes from Too Faced. It's the ones I just own. There's a couple in here that I'm kind of like I bought for the hype. And not crazy about, but I will let you know my thoughts on each of them. It's not going to be the entire line of the Too Faced because I don't have that many, but I do have some that I know people have heard of and people like and people call their holy grail, blah blah blah. So I'm going to let you know my thoughts on those, and I will probably plug in some swatches also, that way you guys can see the colors and choose which palette you would like. Alright, so let's get started with this. I want to start off with this is actually one that I bought. I bought it because of the packaging. This is the Sugar Pop palette by Too Faced. So here's what the Sugar Pop palette looks up close. And when I open it, it's got, of course, the packaging has those little macarons on it. I bake those. I love them. They're my favorite dessert. And then inside you have these shades. It kind of has like this pastel, as you can see. I use it a lot. These colors are not my favorite. I definitely don't use this shade at all. It's like a lilac shade. I do use these for pops of color. I use this on the outer corner and this one as well, and these ones as well. This one is a nice crease shade if you want a warm look. If you haven't seen in all my tutorials, I use this a ton. I use it for setting my primer down. So this is Rock Candy, and it's got a little dip in it, but it's nice for a brow bone shade as well. So here are swatches of the palette. This shade right here is the Rock Candy shade. Then we've got that lilac shade, which is called Strawberry Ice. So it's that shade right there. This shade right here, you can barely see it on my skin tone, is Peach Fuzz. It works nice as a transition shade for paler skin tones. And then right here we have the shade Macaron, which is a beautiful orange shade with shimmer in it. And then we have a metallic bronzy brown shade. That shade is Malted Milk Ball, and that one is pretty good, but it's a typical color in Too Faced, so I'm not like crazy about it. And then this shade is Sugared Violet. This one's a really pretty violet shade. I like that shade. And this one is called Blackberry, and it's a really nice outer corner shade. It's kind of like a warm tone mauvey purple, a dark purple. And then up here you have, if you can see that, that is the Bubblegum shade. It's a pink shade with kind of like, I don't think it has silver glitter in it, but on my swatch it kind of shows silver glitter. And then right here is Blue Raspberry. It's a beautiful teal shade, so I really like that shade. So as far as this palette goes, I really do like it. I did buy this because it was hyped a little bit, and I liked the macaron type theme, but I do use it a lot. I definitely use Rock Candy the most. It has a little dip in it. It's a very good setting all over the lid for after I apply my primer. So that is the Sugar Pop. I should have showed this one first, but this one is the Chocolate Bar palette by Too Faced. This is a staple for me, and it's my very first Too Faced palette that I ever purchased. This is the new packaging version. It's a lot sleeker. This one is a beautiful package. I love chocolates, my favorite. So yeah, this is a staple for me, like I said. It's something that I use for everyday use. So if you're one of those people that like everyday colors, natural colors, neutrals, this palette is a go-to, and it smells like chocolate, so that's a plus. So here is the Chocolate Bar palette, and then you open it up and there are the shades. The shades run very warm and kind of like purples and browns. So like I said, the only thing is I don't know the shades of them because I lost my little insert. It came with an insert sheet with all the names of the colors on there, but I lost it. I don't know where it went. I kept it for a while, but who knows. But anyways, I don't remember all the shades. I will just list the shades down below if I can find them. And yeah, so that's it. This is probably my favorite color out of all of them, is Marzipan. It's a beautiful shimmer shade. I really like it. So here are the swatches of the first row. I can't remember all the shades, but I will list them down below. This shade right here is just kind of like an olivey green brown shade. It's got like gold shimmer in it. It swatches really heavily because mine is a little bit older, so it's starting to dry out a little bit. But this shade is a perfect brow bone shade. This one is, I think, white chocolate. It's a beautiful like matte cream shade. And then this shade, I cannot remember this shade. I think it might be milk chocolate. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But this is a nice matte medium brown shade. And then this shade, I don't know the shade of it, but it's like a purpley brown shade with chunks of gold glitter in it. And then the last shade is dark chocolate, I think. And this one is a beautiful matte dark kind of chocolate shade. Alright, so this is the middle row. This first shade, I know it's salted caramel. I use that all the time for my transition shade and crease shade. It's a beautiful, I mean, it's not as beautiful as peanut butter, I think, but this one is just such a gorgeous warm tone crease shade. This one is marzipan. This is a beautiful shimmery champagne color. And then this one is, I believe this is just chocolate. I can't remember the shade of this one, but I will list it down below. But it's like a medium brown, true chocolate brown shade. And it's also a matte. And then this one, I can't remember what it is either. Sorry about that. I lost the insert. But this is just a pink shade. I don't use it that much, but you know, if I want to pop it on the inner corner, I do. This one, I don't know the name as well. It's a beautiful, like, kind of a cool tone purple shade with flecks of pink glitter in it. And then this one, the last shade, I don't use it really that much either. It's kind of like a reddish brown shade, and it's a little bit stiffer in the pan, so it's kind of like a metallic shade. Alright, so the last row in the palette is this shade. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a beautiful metallic brown shade. This one, I can't remember the name, but I used to use it a lot. But it's a gold shade. It's really, really pretty. I like that one. And then this one, of course, is kind of like a cooler version of this shade. It's just, it's metallic as well. So these ones are metallic shades. This one is like kind of like a matte. I think it's cherry cordial. It's a brown, like red color, burgundy shade, and it's got flecks of glitter in it. Very slight, but not too much. And then, of course, the last shade, I think, is champagne, pink champagne, something like that. And that one is a beautiful iridescent duochrome type of shimmery cream shade with shifts of gold. So yeah, the chocolate bar palette is one of those staple palettes. I think that everybody that likes everyday type of shades, neutrals, this is a good palette for you. Brown Eyed Girls, I do suggest this one because it has purple tones in it and that'll make your brown eyes pop. So yeah, I do like this. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I do use it for like my everyday look. So the next palette I have is yet another one of Too Faced that I thought was cute with the packaging. I bought this on a whim because I thought the packaging was stinking adorable. So this is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. As you can see from the packaging, it's like a pale pink with little embossed hearts on it. I thought that was adorable. It just reminds me of Valentine's Day, but I love it. I love it so much. So here is the packaging, and then you open it up. It just works just like the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and as you can see, it's got heart-shaped little shadows in there. And then it does have the bars like the Chocolate Bar palette, 2 bars, and then the rest are heart shapes. So it has a lot of cooler tone shades than I would like, but I did use this quite a bit, and I do say I have some mixed feelings about it. I love it, and then some colors I just don't love at all. But yeah, I will do some swatches on this, and that way you can see and compare all the shades to each other in all the palettes. Alright, so there are the swatches for the first row. This first shade right here, this one is called Almond Truffle, and it's a beautiful kind of like mid-tone, like taupe shade. It's really nice for the crease. This next shade is one of the bar shades. This is Satin Sheets, and it's a beautiful duochrome metallic shade, just like in the Chocolate Bar palette with pink champagne. And then this one is a shimmery pink shade as well. It's a warm tone shade, and it's called Sprinkles. I like putting that on the inner corner when I'm doing a pink look. And then this one is a really pretty one. This one is Molasses Chip. It's a beautiful, like, pink champagne almost type of gold. And then the last shade is Malted, and this is a beautiful mid-tone, kind of like a neutral brown. So here are the swatches for the next row, the middle row. This shade is called Cashew Chew. I use this shade to kind of blend out my crease area a little bit more because it's more my tone. If you are fair-skinned, this would probably be good as a crease shade, but it's like a cool tone, kind of taupey shade. And then this shade is called Cotton Candy. It's a pink shimmer shade, like Sprinkles, but it's a bit more on the baby pink side instead of like a I guess a peachy pink. And then this shade right here is Cafe au lait, and this is beautiful. I mean, that's my favorite color so far in the palette, but it is, I accidentally put my finger in it, so it's got a dent. But anyways, this is a nice taupe shimmer shade. This next shade is called Bordeaux, and this is a beautiful red toned brown shade. It's just really pretty on the outer corner. This shade reminds me so much of Almond Truffle. It's this mocha. It's just a bit more on the warm side, so again, it can be used as a crease shade. And then the last shade is Black Currant, which is a shimmery, chunky purple shade with flecks of glitter in it. Alright, so this is the last row in the palette. I have Dark Truffle right here, which is a metallic dark brown shade. And then I have here, this is, you can barely see it on my skin, this is Pecan Praline. It's like a cool tone version of Cashew Chew. And then this shade I was very disappointed in, even though it's just that pop of color that I really wanted. It's just lackluster, but this shade is called Totally Fetch, and it's supposed to be like a hot pink, and I just didn't find it. You have to build it to make it pop. This shade is Earl Grey. Sorry, the swatch isn't that great. This is a kind of a, I don't know, it's like a gray, like a charcoal gray shade. It's really pretty though. And then this last shade is Divinity, and it's a nice brow bone shade, and it also is good for setting the eye area if you like putting like a pale color, like me, on your eye area after primer. This is a good shade for that as well. So overall, I do love this palette. It smells less like chocolate than the actual chocolate bar. That one was a bit strong, but this one is a little bit fainter. It's got the cutest packaging, heart-shaped shadows, but I did find some repetitive colors like Almond Truffle, and it comparing to Mocha, and then Cashew Chew, and then Pecan Praline. I feel like those colors are a little bit redundant. Even though they're not exactly alike, they are pretty, you know, redundant in that same scheme of things. So I do like this palette. It's a nice palette to have if you like cool tones and pops of color. It's nice to have. I am wearing Totally Fetch on my outer quarter, and I am using actually all the palettes on my eyes. So I did use the Sugar Pop palette under my eyes. I used Blue Raspberry and Bubblegum. On the outer corner is Blue Raspberry, inner corner is Bubblegum. And then in the crease, I did use some other shadows that I will get into, but this one I used on the outer corner, I used Totally Fetch. And then, of course, the chocolate bar, I did use Salted Caramel in the crease to start off the look. Next palette is the Peanut Butter palette, Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. This is such an adorable packaging. It has this little sandwich girl. It's got little lips and lashes and whatnot, and it's got little peanuts printed all over it. I love the idea, and to me it smells like a hint. It smells like a Reese's Pieces buttercup. I don't like peanut butter. So yeah, it does smell more like chocolate, but it has that hint of peanut butter in there. So if you're allergic to peanuts, it's not going to affect you because this is not real. It's mostly cocoa powder or the cocoa stuff that they use in their bronzers and the chocolate bars. That's what they used for this as well. So yeah, this is the peanut butter. So here is the packaging. Like I said, stinking adorable. It's got the little peanut butter, and then it's got the little peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the back as well. See, it's got the little face on the bottom. It's so cute. And it opens up just like all the palettes, and it has inside some warm tones, some shades here that are a little bit more brighter or lighter, and then it's got some purple in there for the jelly. So yeah, I'll get into those swatches too. So here are the shades for the palette. Of course, I put two of them right there. This is the first shade right here, is called Spread the Love. I use this as a crease shade as well sometimes, or I use it to set my eyes. It's kind of like that peach color, but it's really, really It's got that flecks of sparkle in it, so I don't really like using it in the crease, but it is pretty nice to use in the crease if you're fair-skinned. The next shade is Bananas, which I actually use in the inner corner mostly. It's a pale gold shade. And then the next shade is called Extra Creamy, and that shade is a perfect brow bone shade. It is a nice matte color, and it's more of a cream color. This shade, of course, this is what the palette's based on, from the shade Peanut Butter inside the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. This one is a perfect crease shade, my favorite crease shade of all. It's a nice warm tone brown, orangey brown shade. And then this one is Peanut Brittle, which is a beautiful metallic shade, because it's kind of like a metallic version of the Peanut Butter shade. It's just shimmery. And then this shade, which I was disappointed in, this one is Jelly. It's like a really bright purple in the palette, but it swatches and applies very lightly and not as pigmented. This last shade right here is Peanut Butter Cup, and it's a beautiful, it's typical Too Faced shade, metallic shimmery brown. And then this shade right there is, that one is Jammin'. It's a dark purple. It kind of swatches very roughly, but that one is like got flecks of glitter in it as well. And then my favorite shade of all in the palette is Nuts About You, which is a beautiful orangey tone shade. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the Monarch palette from Kat Von D. That has a beautiful orange, but this one beats it, bar none. It's so creamy and beautiful, and it blends like a dream. So yeah, the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette is very, very pretty. I actually really like it. I actually bought one for my niece because she wanted one so badly. She likes the natural matte palette, and she's getting into makeup, so yeah, I bought this one for her because it's really, really nice. I mean, it smells amazing to me, even though I don't really like peanut butter, but I do like the smell that it gives. It's like a chocolate peanut butter. It's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. That's what it smells like. But anyways, it is a beautiful palette. It's got lovely colors, warm tone shades. If you really love those orangey brown tone shades, this is a perfect palette for you. So yeah, I really like it, and I'll put all the prices of all these palettes in the description bar down below. Alright, so the last palette, I was going to put in my Vegas Nay palette in here, but it is not available anymore, so I didn't want to include that, but I do have the Vegas Nay, and I love that palette. I don't use it as much, though, as I use these guys. But anyways, the last palette that I actually was able to get my hands on is the Peach palette. Now, the Sweet Peach palette, the packaging is so cute. It's like my favorite one. It's got that ombre effect on there, and it's got the peach embossing on it, and it's got that little sweet peach thing there. And I love the back because it has the little peach guy right there with a face. It's so adorable. Can you see it? So like I said, here's the packaging. It's so cute. I love it. And then you open it up just like everything else, and except the layout is a lot more different from the chocolate bar palette, and I will show you a comparison if I can get this guy up. See how it has those big bars and then the little boxes of shadows? See, it doesn't have the big bars. So it actually gives you more shadows than the actual chocolate bar, and it's the same price as the chocolate bar palette, which is nice because you're getting more shadows. You're getting 2 more shadows, I think. 2 more shadows. So anyways, that's the color range. Not what I expected out of the palette. I expected more peachy tones, more springy tones, but you do need some dark shades in there, especially if you're going to use this for everyday use and you just want a one palette kind of deal. That's what I like about it. It's got everything you need. So I'm going to get into the swatches. Alright, so this is the first row. The first shade is called White Peach, and it's a beautiful cream shade, but it reminds me so much of like Divinity and White Chocolate, so it's a repeated shade, but it's really nice to have in this palette, especially if you're just going to use this palette for, you don't want to use any other palettes. It's got that brow bone shade you like. This shade is my favorite shade. This is Luscious, and it's a beautiful like peachy metallic shade. This next shade is called Just Peachy, and it's a peach shade as well that's metallic, that's shifts of gold, a very slight shifts. And then this one is actually a unique shade. This one is called Bless Her Heart, and it's like a metallic olive green. It's really pretty, actually. I like it. And then this shade is called Tempting, and it's a black kind of like shade with a lot of flecks of gold in it. And then this last shade is Charmed, I'm sure, which kind of reminds me of a lot of shades in the rest of the Too Faced palettes, so kind of a repeated shade. Here is the next row. This shade is called Nectar, and this is probably the most unique shade I've ever seen. It's like a yellowy, peachy, I don't know, it's just so pretty, like a very light cream yellowy toned shimmery metallic shade. Sorry, I didn't blend that out, but it's really, really pretty and very unique. Would look nice on the inner corners. This next shade is called Cobbler, and of course this just reminds me of every other shade. It reminds me of Malted Milk Ball in the Sugar Pop palette. It's just a metallic light brown. This shade is another peach shade in there. This is called Candied Peach. Now this shade is wonderful as a crease shade if you're going for a warm tone peachy shade. It does, as you build it, blend really well, and it does look really pretty. So this is a nice unique shade to have. This next shade is Bellini, and it's my favorite because it's a duochrome peachy pink shade with gold shift to it. And then this next shade is called Peach Pit, which is a metallic dark brown. And then the last shade is Delectable, and this is like a plummy purple shade, which really works nice in the outer corner, and it blends really well as well. And the last row, this shade is called Peaches and Cream, which is a kind of like a matte version of the Nectar shade. This next shade is Georgia, which is a nice peachy, taupey beige shade. It's nice for fair girls for crease shades. This shade is called Caramelized, and that one is just a typical Too Faced shade, metallic medium brown. This shade is a bit warmer, and it's called Puree, and it's a matte brown. This shade is more orangey tone, but not as orangey tone as Nuts About You in the Peanut Butter palette, but this one is called Summer Yum, and it's a real pretty warm tone brown. And then this last shade, which is my least favorite shade, it's called Talk Derby to Me, and it's a blackish purple with purple glitter in it, and it's very stiff. I don't like it. So the peach palette was hyped up beyond. It's been sold out everywhere, and we got them as soon as we put them on the floor. They were gone. I managed to get one, but still, it's like, ugh, you know, a lot of people like this. I can understand why people like it. The packaging's cute. The shades are, the shades are really, really pretty and unique, but you do find a lot of repetitive colors in all the Too Faced palettes, which I don't mind because I love that metallic brown shade. I love those soft matte browns for crease shades, warm tone browns. I love those things. But if you're going to get one palette, I would recommend getting the chocolate bar palette because it has everything you need. Out of all the palettes, I'd say my favorite one is the peanut butter palette because that one has warm tones that I absolutely love. Now, I do have the Vegas Nay palette, which is another Too Faced palette. This one is a favorite of mine because it has a lot of unique shades. It's got the cardboard, so it's not my favorite packaging, but it has some unique shades. Like this shade is really pretty. The purple is not that impressive, but anyways, it does have pretty good shades. But like I said, there's a lot of repetitive colors in it. I did not mention the smell of the peach. To me, it smells like a plastic doll that had an artificial peach scent. That's what it smells like to me, which is okay. I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite smell. I prefer the peanut butter and jelly smell. That one smells really good. But if you like peach smells, it doesn't smell like fresh, juicy peaches to me. So yeah, I don't know if you guys, I don't know, this is gonna date me, but Cherry Mary Muffin, if no one had that, or even Strawberry Shortcake, had an artificial cherry or strawberry scent, right? That's what that smells like. That's an artificial scent you give toys. That's what it smells like. As a mom, I have kids that have smelly toys, and they actually smell a lot better because they smell like chocolate, but they smell like chocolate. Like my son has this little Peep. It smells like chocolate. It smells so good. I always like to smell it. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. But anyways, this palette is not my favorite smelling palette, although I do really like the shades in here, and I'm not regretting the purchase because it has really pretty shades, but there are repetitive shades. If you want an all-in-one palette with warm tones in it, I would suggest the peach palette. If you want something that's more neutral, the chocolate bar palette. If you want something that's more cool and have that pop of color, the Bon Bon palette. Now the Too Faced chocolate bar and the Bon Bon palette are still available. The peach palette, if you can find it, and you like warm tones, and you love peach tones, and it's really pretty for summer and spring, and even into fall, I think it could go into fall. Then the peach palette, if you can get your hands on it, I would recommend it. It's not my favorite smell, but yeah, peanut butter palette is my favorite one out of all of them because it has the warm tone shades that I really like. I don't care for these 3 shades right here because they're okay, but I can get past it. The smell is amazing. The Sugar Pop palette I have used quite a bit, but I don't use it as much as I used to use it, but these are perfect for spring. Unfortunately, this one is not available. If you can get it on the Too Faced website, I would try, or eBay, wherever you can get it. It's a nice pop, like if you want that pop of color type of palette, this is a nice one. Yeah, that's what I have as far as Too Faced palettes and my thoughts on all these palettes. These are the, I don't know, I love Too Faced shadows. I really do. They're really pretty. They have everything that you need in a palette. It's just so nice. Like, I prefer them over Urban Decay. I really do. Of course, I